riverbank. Fuel scarcity imminent as tanker drivers shun depots Monday over union dispute including Nupeng. Court has scrapped local government and Nigeria transfer authority to traditional rulers sparks fresh debate. Meanwhile, federal government clarifies 500 naira fuel tax increment. Police summon El-Rufai other ADC leaders over criminal conspiracy. Meanwhile, Lagos State joins list of states blocking ADC meetings. Sanwo-Olu faces backlash. Kenneth Okonkwo discloses Peter Obi's single-term presidency proposal politically strategic. Details now. Thank you for staying with us. The news begins with the West African Examination Council outlining key facilities schools must provide ahead of the full migration of the West African Senior School Certificate Examination to computer-based testing by 2026. The head of examinations, WAEC, Mr. Loki Njagwani, disclosed this on Thursday during a sensitization program in Port Harcourt. According to him, schools must put in place a minimum of 250 functional laptops with 10% backups, a robust computer server capable of supporting 250 systems simultaneously, and the local area network setup. Other mandatory requirements include functional air conditioners and lighting, uninterrupted electricity supply, a backup generator with at least 40 kVA capacity, CCTV cameras, and a holding room or reception facility for candidates. Njagwani noted that the move to CBT would cut logistic costs, improve exam security, and widen accessibility. The Port Harcourt Zonal Coordinator WAEC, Mr. Diniro Amuson Akim, urged schools to begin upgrading their ICT centers in line with WAEC standards, stressing that the CBT system is here to stay. Elsewhere, at least 5 bodies were recovered along the riverbank in the Oreta area of Igbobo community on Wednesday, while another person was gruesomely killed in Bayeku on Tuesday, both in the Kurudi area of Lagos State. Well, the incidents may be linked to the surge in court-related violence across parts of Lagos. The development comes amidst rising cases of court clashes in the state, which have forced the police command to redeploy some divisional heads. Although details of the incident remain sketchy, residents confirmed that the Bayeku attack involved the brutal killing of a man whose wrist and leg were severed, while 5 corpses were later found in Oreta. A community member who spoke on condition of anonymity disclosed to correspondents that some people believe that the incident at Bayeku was unrelated to courtism. The person who died is not a known courtist. Many in the community think it is connected to land grabbing. They killed the man and severed his hands and legs. Another resident said to the police at Oreta scene in assessing the situation, people were saying that it was the river that actually brought out the 5 bodies to the riverbank. However, details of how they died or who killed them is yet to be found out. A short video published by Niger Confra, a channel known for exposing court-related activities, showed some of the corpses by the riverside. One victim dressed in a blue hoodie was seen face down, while another in a black and white shirt lay motionless with blood stains around the area. The Nigerian Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers, Nupeng, has hinted on an imminent fuel scarcity across Nigeria. Nupeng called on its members to down tools and shun loading of petroleum products from Monday, September 8th. In a statement on Friday, jointly signed by Williams Akboriha and Afolabi Olawale, President and Secretary General Nupeng, they accused the management of Dangote Refinery of alleged anti-labor practices, inimical to the survival and means of livelihood of its members. workers under its petroleum and tanker drivers branch. The union specifically expressed strong reservations about the position of chairman of Dangote Refinery, Aliko Dangote, that drivers recruited for operations of its 10,000 compressed natural gas trucks imported into the country would not be allowed to join any trade union. The union described the position taken by the management of Dangote Refinery as an affront on the right of association guaranteed under the 1999 Constitution and a breach of relevant international labor laws to which Nigeria is a signatory. Well, the convention, which had been ratified by Nigeria as far back as the 17th of October 1960, under the convention, workers have the right to join unions of their choice for the protection of their employment and trade union rights, and without prior authorization of any employer or authority. By this statement, they're calling on the federal government of Nigeria and its agencies, including well-meaning segments of the Nigerian society, to call the two trillionaire businessmen to order. They should be told to obey the laws of Nigeria. If they persist in their anti-union tyrannical attitudes, NUPENG is ready and set to mobilize its forces to fight within the framework of the law. More than 1 year after local government areas got what could be described as favorable landmark judgment, they are yet to be freed from the grip of state governors. In July 2024, the Supreme Court had ruled in favor of local government autonomy, affirming the financial and administrative independence of Nigeria's 774 local councils by declaring actions by state governments unconstitutional. The landmark judgment prohibited states from dissolving elected councils, installing caretaker committees, withholding funds allocated to local governments from the Federation account, and managing local government finances. However, the full implementation of that judgment remains a mirage, opening for the calls that the local government system should be scrapped. A former presidential aspirant of the All Progressives Congress, Adamu Garuba, reopened the debate recently when he called for the scrapping of local governments in Nigeria. Garuba said local government should be scrapped because state governors use it as a back channel to loot funds, stressing that its power should be transferred to traditional rulers within their domain. All entitlements due to local governments, according to him, should be channeled to the leadership of the traditional rulers of such areas, a form of pre-colonial native authority used to have and was very effective at the time. The national chairman of Action Alliance, AA Kenneth Udeze, disagreed with the clamor for the scrapping of local governments in Nigeria. Udeze pointed out that local governments are a necessary tool in conveying the dividends of democracy to the grassroots. He disclosed, however, that if the Supreme Court of the land has actually made a pronouncement with respect to issues of sending the local government allocations directly to them, with the hopes that leaders, politicians and administrators make sure that the strict letters of the pronouncement of the Supreme Court should be respected. For us in the Action Alliance and the national chairman of the political party in the country, with respect to the Constitution amendment that is going on, there is emphasis that local government autonomy should remain extant, and that issues that has to do with allowing the government to function on its own, that is the only way leadership can be felt at the grassroots. End quote. In a recent development, the federal government has clarified that certain reports in circulation about Nigerians paying a 500 naira fuel surcharge on every 10,000 naira worth of fuel bought from January 2026 are inaccurate and misleading. The government stated that while the new tax law provides for a fuel surcharge under the Federal Emergency Management Agency (FEMA) Act, the provision has not yet taken effect. It added that contrary to claims that Nigerians would start paying the 500 naira surcharge as from January 2026, the implementation date will only be determined by an official order from the Minister of Finance. The clarification was made in a video by the chairman of the Presidential Tax Reform Committee, Taiwo Oyedele, which was made public by the State House. He added that the intended purpose of the surcharge is to channel revenues into transport infrastructure projects, which he claimed would eventually reduce the cost of logistics, ease the burden on commuters, and bring down inflation for ordinary Nigerians. Now, the Kaduna State Police Command has invited former Governor Malam Nasir El-Rufai alongside other leaders of the African Democratic Congress for questioning over alleged criminal conspiracy, incitement of public disturbance, mischief and causing grievous hurt. VP News understands that the police invitation letter dated September 4, 2025 and signed by the Deputy Commissioner of Police in charge of the Criminal Investigation Department, Zainu Abdullahi, directed the ADC Kaduna State Chairman chairman to produce El-Rufai and 7 other party members of the State Criminal Investigation Department on September 8th, being Monday, 2025. According to the letter, which was titled Investigation Activities, Case of Criminal Conspiracy, Inciting Disturbance of Public Peace, Mischief and Causing Grievous Hurt, the individuals were being called to clarify allegations lodged against them by the complainants. While details of the complaints were not mentioned, the police emphasized that the invitation was part of ongoing investigation activities aimed at maintaining public peace and order in the state. In the same vein, just after the recent development where the governor of Lagos State is actually facing mounting criticism after state authorities sealed off the venue of an African Democratic Congress meeting scheduled to hold in Alamosho, despite organizers insisting they had secured prior approval. The closure has reignited accusations that the ruling All Progressives Congress is increasingly using state institutions to suppress opposition voices. Reacting to a post on X, formerly known as Twitter, today, the Labour Party 2023 Lagos governorship candidate Gbadebo Rhodes Vival condemned the action as an abuse of power and a direct attack on democratic freedoms. The development is coming just barely 24 hours after police in Kaduna sealed off the ADC office in Ali Akilu Road ahead of a scheduled visit by the party's Northwest leadership. The opposition has since described that action as unconstitutional and a deliberate attempt to intimidate its members. Opposition parties have repeatedly accused APC-led government of deploying security agencies to frustrate their activities. Tactics cited include sealing off venues, issuing warnings to hotels, and demanding clearance before allowing political gatherings. However, analysts note that the incidents in Lagos and Kaduna may signal a pattern of intolerance towards opposition movements as political tensions mount ahead of the next electoral cycle. For the ADC and its allies, however, the latest clampdown appeared to have further strengthened their resolve to mobilize supporters across the country. Veteran Nollywood actor and politician Kenneth Okonkwo has suggested that the single-term presidency proposal of the Labour Party presidential candidate Mr. Peter Obi in 2023 is a political strategy to carry favour from the north. Well, Okonkwo stated this today while fielding questions on a monitored television program earlier this morning. According to the thespian, Peter Obi knows that if he does not make the promise, he would lose votes from the northern region of the country during the 2027 elections. So let's take a very brief listen to Kenneth Okonkwo here.
One time I heard it first, even I was the one who propounded it as a theory, saying that any party that is serious to fight an incumbent must have to say that whoever is going to contest should have to do one term, so that no side will feel cheated. So if you are a Southerner, if you don't agree to do one term, the Northerners will say you want to do another 8 years. That will offend the system. If you are a Northerner, if you don't agree to do one term, the Southerners will say, okay, that means you want to cut us short early in time. So I brought the theory as a way for any opposition party to inspire Nigerians to know that each side will not lose when they make any choice, whether north or south.
So how do you justify your new stance?
No, that's what I'm saying. So it was even Atiku Abubakar that first of all said he was going to do one term. Then Peter Obi now keyed into it, because he knows that if him as a younger person does not make that promise, he loses the entire north. So it's purely a political strategy to say, look, I am not going to cut the 8 years. I'm not going to shortchange you. So if I am elected, I will just do only 4 years to complete the 8 years of the South. So that's just the whole idea about it.
And that was Kenneth Okonkwo there, speaking and buttressing that the idea of a single term actually came from him and was first of all used by the People's Democratic Party 2023 presidential candidate, and that is Atiku Abubakar. The All Progressives Congress has appointed Ayola Olajolo as Director of Administration at the party's National Secretariat. Barrister Felix Smoker, APC National Publicity Secretary, announced the appointment in a statement today. Olajolo, a legal practitioner and public administrator, was called to the Nigerian bar in 2016, while he has also worked at the National Space Research and Development Agency, rising to the position of Assistant Chief Legal Officer. The ruling party said Olajolo will oversee the day-to-day administrative operations of the Secretariat and ensure effective execution of its programs. You're currently listening to the World News right here on Voice of the People, 90.3 FM. We'll take a very short break. When we return, we'll head into a news analysis segment while we're joined via the telephone with Mr. Elvis Elimehele, who'll be giving us some insights into some of the stories read out on the World News at 6. Do kindly stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. This is still the World News right here in Voice of the People, 90.3 FM. Mr. Elvis Elimehele, good evening and thank you for joining us today.
Good evening, Esther. How are you doing?
I'm okay. I hope you are enjoying the holiday.
Yeah, happy Eid Maluk celebration to our Muslim brothers and sisters.
All right, and Mr. Elvis. So we're going to start off right. Let's go head on. I'll start off from the political scenario before we move into other social welfare issues bedeviling Nigerians. Mr. Elvis, the ADC's office in Lagos meeting venue today was sealed off by the Lagos state government. The closure has reignited accusations that the ruling APC is increasingly using state institutions to suppress opposition voices. And the Labour Party's 2023 Lagos State governorship candidate, Mr. Badebo Rhodes Vival, condemned the action as an abuse of power and a direct attack on democratic freedoms. So, according to the ADC, they had actually said they had written to the state government, they had gotten permission prior to the meeting, and all that was approved, and that they do not understand why all of a sudden the meeting venue was sealed. You would also recall on the very day the ADC was going to announce, coming up as a coalition party, the initial hotel that was scheduled for the meeting, where they were going to supposedly unveil, we just had all of a sudden that some maintenance, whatever was supposed to go on there, so the meeting could not hold and they had to go to another venue. Now in Kaduna, when El Rufai and others went to inaugurate some of the members who have joined the ADC as part of the coalition, there were reports of thugs coming to destabilize the meeting, kind of hurt some people, destroyed some properties and vehicles, and they claimed or alleged that the police or the security operatives were actually around but could not do anything. What kind of trend is this, and how do you think this portends a dangerous situation ahead of 2027?
Esther, it's a very condemnable act and very, very shameful. We are in a democratic system of government where freedom is allowed. Freedom of association is allowed. I don't know why APC that came to power in a very hostile form to the government led by then President Goodluck Jonathan is now making charges on Nigerians who have the right to form an association and be free to exercise their freedom. I don't know why it has to be like this, because what it's begun now, what they are doing now is even going to make ADC to be much more popular, and people will now begin to have sympathy towards ADC if they don't know. I don't know who are their political designers, who are their political advisors who are telling them that they should begin to, clamp down on DC's meeting venues. It's so shameful, is so condemnable. This is what we are seeing. This is what it has the politics of hostility we see in Africa.
Mr. Elvis,
2 days ago, I saw something like this.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm with you. 2 days ago, I saw even in Cameroon, after 40 years of Paul Biya in power, that opposition, anybody, the president that wants to contest with him, his name is not even in the ballot because they don't even want they just want Paul Biya to be returned unopposed. We're also seeing the same thing here in Cote d'Ivoire now. Gbagbo is coming up with the same, Alassane Ouattara is coming up with the same thing. We're also seeing the same thing right there in Tanzania, that oppositions are being ordered into prison cells because they don't want to be given the opportunity to contest. I mean, is that democracy? They're turning into something else. So it's very condemnable and it's shameful. I don't know where APC want to take Nigeria to. So they want to remain in power. PDP said they were going to rule for 60 years. After 16 years, Nigerians said no, enough of you. So they have gotten, this is their 10th year now in power. If by 14 years after Tinubu's regime administration in 2027, Nigerians say we are tired of them, they will pack their load and go. That's the beauty of democracy. That's why we say democracy is the government of the people, by the people and for the people. If the people say we don't need you, you pack your load and go. Give us a free and fair election so that the people's will can prevail and the people's right can be guaranteed. This one that they are climbing down in Kaduna, in Lagos, and we are still going to see more. And even in Abuja last time, I know we are still going to see more because the trend has begun already now. I mean, it's a shame. They should stop this, honestly.
Okay, could this be because officially it's not yet time for any form of politicking? You know, by 2026, INEC has not yet released any calendar whatsoever. But shouldn't that directive be coming from INEC and not the political party or even the state governors? It's quite worrisome because, like you made reference to the APC when they were in opposition, they literally did worse. There was nobody who stifled them. Nobody stopped them from gathering wherever they wanted to gather. People knew about them coming together and set momentum. And there are fears, you know, based on what this particular trend indicates, that possibly when campaign seasons commence, that it's possible that opposition parties will not be able to campaign in other states, or they will be supposedly asked to campaign in some redundant areas in other states. Now, the complaint about the party bringing in nepotistic and tribal tendencies and how they go about destabilizing the camp of their opponents. And a lot of Nigerians are complaining that this is a dangerous trend and this is a dangerous path that the politicians have decided to undertake, and that unfortunately some Nigerians are quite gullible to adopt or supposedly absorb the system of living, not knowing that it is terrible and hurting to their own democratic values. So if this is a trend now, then what happens? What do we instead, rather than running a federal system of government, is it possible to declare the government autocratic? Or possibly, now that the constitution is being reviewed, maybe there is no need for a constitution but another system of government that will be enacted, if this is going to be the trend in the polity? What do you have to say about those permutations?
Esther, this trend cannot continue. It can't continue because even in the military era, we didn't have it tough as it is now. Let me tell you, Esther, the ADC is not, they are not on a roadshow campaign. It's just political meeting. Political party can hold their meeting. They are not campaigning yet. There's even any political party that is campaigning at the moment is APC. Everywhere you go, you see Bola Ahmed Tinubu billboard and banners everywhere for 2027. Even when INEC has not lifted a ban on campaign for 2027, I don't even know why they will not cover themselves. Then political parties can hold meetings. They can align themselves and realign, you know, at this time. Until when the campaign is lifted by INEC. So meetings can go on. These people are not on roadshow. They are not on the podium. They are not on for campaign. They just want to hold meetings. Meetings are bound to be held for strategic reasons. So going down to go and close down meeting venue because you want to remain a one-party state, Nigerians must condemn it. Because what happened to Jonathan in 2014 and 2015, we saw PDP give them the opportunity to form their political party and have meetings, and they won the election and came to power. So Nigerians also still have that kind of right to say, no, APC is tired of you, come 2027. If that be the case, if that's the choice of Nigeria. So political parties must be given that freedom to have their willpower to have meetings and to strategize and form coalition where necessary. Because Nigeria it's a multi-party state. We will not be told that we are running a one-party state. Therefore, political parties have that right. All this one going around venues to clamp down on ADC. I mean, are they afraid of ADC? Are they started being afraid of ADC? Okay, they should go and put their house in order. They know that Nigerians are going through stress. Nigerians are going through suffering in the administration of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and even APC since they came to power. So if Nigerians so desire that, this is the opportunity for us to have a change, and that change, genuine change, comes through ADC, well and be, and that Nigerians have that right. So this one that it has happened in Abuja, it happened in Kaduna, it has happened in Lagos, and other states. I know very soon.
Wow.
I mean, it will be worse even in my state.
Or just like how
the microphone, all it does is campaigning for Tinubu in 2027. I know it will be worse in my state.
Wow.
I mean, so Nigerians have to condemn it so that it will not be a trend.
Well, the politics seems divided. I don't know. Most of the condemnation is coming online. Nobody's really saying anything. There are more supporters for the government of the day, so maybe that is why there is silence.
ADC should go to court, because they cannot be restrained from holding political meetings. This is meeting and not campaign. They should go to court. They should sue them because they are denying them their fundamental right of association and freedom of association.
And you think that the courts will be just? We're just asking because why I'm asking. Okay.
But let us have a pronouncement from the court on this matter. It is better we have than to just chicken out like coward and swallow it.
Okay, very quickly, because we have quite a lot to discuss. So Kenneth Okonkwo was in a Monitor television program this morning, and that according to him, he said that the suggested one single-term presidency proposal that Peter Obi made is a political strategy to carry favor from the North. According to Kenneth Okonkwo, he said he was the one who first of all insinuated or supposedly planted that idea, and then after he said so, Atiku Abubakar adopted it. So Atiku was actually saying, okay, you know what? Since there's a supposedly gentleman agreement, I will just do one term and then we can rotate it like that. And that Peter Obi also took that term as well and stipulated by disclosing that he was going one term. And then he was asked a question: would you, if at any point in time the Labour Party's calibrated and everything comes to be normal, would you support a Peter Obi again? And he says no. Many critics now lambasted Kenneth Okonkwo for his change of heart, for him not aligning with the idea or ideals of Mr. Peter Obi. And there are also talks that he's no longer as influential as he used to be. That the APC's strategy of using the media, social media formations and formats has worked in possibly reducing the influence of Peter Obi with all the rhetorics across most media outlets, especially social media. What's your take on that?
Well, what Kenneth Okonkwo said, I think I even like the idea that Peter Obi is sticking to one tenure, because we have an understanding of let it be from the north to the south and from the south.
No, do you understand what I'm saying? Kenneth Okonkwo is saying that it was a strategic means for Peter Obi to curry favor from the north. However, it was not an idea that came from Peter Obi. He was the one that even brought up that idea.
Yes,
and that
I read what he said.
Okay.
I read what he said. Yeah, it's his idea. But if Peter Obi can buy into the idea, it doesn't matter. According to vote from the north, everybody is looking at how APC can leave power for now, because we have had by 2027 we have had 14 years of APC in Nigeria, and we can judge ourselves better and whether we fare better under APC or PDP or the next coming government. I mean, the political party that may form the next government. So if it's the law, I mean, this a single tenure promulgated works out well, whether it's from Peter B or from any other person that is coming in and saying I'm buying into it, it's a good one, because if you look at it, if it goes to the north, if it goes to the south, certain part of Nigeria has one tenure now between 2027 and 2031. So that the political equation can align as is understood. But if it goes to the north, that's the only way we may be looking at it. How are they going to push out the south after a single tenure from that is due to the certain part of Nigeria as against two tenures? But however, Esther, let us look at it that the person who is coming in, whether a single tenure or not, must be able to know that he is not coming to learn from the job. The problem we have is that most of Nigerian presidents always get to the job and started learning from from the job in the process of being in the office. Peter Obi, if he gets in there for one tenure, he knows what to do right from day one. Peter Obi will not begin to wait until 5 months before he will
Mr. Elvis, we're not campaigning for anybody, and you can never say
no.
precisely
We are not.
with
I'm
politicians.
only telling you of whoever is coming in. Whoever is coming in, if you are not coming to learn from the job, 4 years is enough for you to make even. We have seen leaders in the world who have, turned around the trajectory in their countries for 4 years. One of the best presidents that is being professed in America today, Abraham Lincoln, had only one tenure. John F. Kennedy had only 2 years. Today, he still remembers. Even Murtala Mohammed of Nigeria had only 6 months. So these are Nelson Mandela of South Africa had only one tenure. So if you look at it, we are not really talking about the number of years. We are talking about those who understood the job they are coming for. So don't come in to start giving excuses. I didn't know it was like this. I didn't know the system was so bad. So whoever promulgated the one tenure system, and if it works out well, I think that person should be given an accolade. But I know too well that whoever is coming from 2027 must know what he's coming in for.
All right,
and
Mr. Elvis, you remember when you were talking about the fact that the ADC should go to court concerning all of this supposedly limitation, harassment, and all of that? And I asked you, do you think that a court will work in the favor of the ADC, or you don't think there will be any form of influence, especially when recently it feels like some institutions do not obey court orders? So you know that in July 2024, the Supreme Court had ruled in favor of local government autonomy, affirming the financial and administrative independence of Nigeria's 774 local councils by declaring actions by state governments unconstitutional. Mr. Elvis Elimehele, it's more than 1 year after local government areas got what could be described as a favorable landmark judgment, but they are yet to be freed from the grip of the state governors. Now, Adamu Garuba, a former presidential aspirant, is declaring that if that is the case, according to him, they're actually disclosing, however, that local government should be scrapped in Nigeria. Garuba is saying that it should be scrapped because state governors use it as a back channel to loot funds, stressing that its power should be transferred to traditional rulers within their domain. Do you think traditional leaders or traditional rulers would do better? Or have you not seen traditional rulers being more political than the politicians themselves? Or what do you have to say to this? And why has the Supreme Court ruling not been implemented in the local government? Why is it difficult for the rulings of the court to be implemented by the people that have been asked to do so?
Esther, I bring forward back to this one tenure issue. What is holding down this implementation of this celebrated judgment for Supreme Court for local government autonomy in Nigeria is just this syndrome of second tenure. The president, Ahmed Tinubu, doesn't want to rub shoulders with the governors. The governors of 36 states of Nigeria have become emperor. And this judgment did not really go down well with the governors. And because most of the governors are the ones that are actually hijacking this local government fund and give them pittance to just pay salaries and sell this little utility.
But the president is the main proponent of this. I mean, it was even during his administration that the Supreme Court gave this. Remember, this case has been on for quite a long time.
Let me tell you,
since he was a governor.
He was a governor, and it was being celebrated then. But now he's the president. He has not also seen the power of governors in making us a president in this nation. That is why you see that his government gave this judgment. He even went to court, to do this for local government, and it was applauded by Nigerians. Why is it that the implementation is difficult? The Attorney General of Nigeria by now, who is appointed by him, ought to know what to do to get this judgment, effected. But unfortunately, we have seen that after all, I'm going to hear now that we had this judgment that all of us celebrated, that it has not been implemented. That's to tell you that something is wrong with it. These are political calculations. People would have told him, if you go this way, the governors will raise their back at you in 2027. So probably that is why the president is peddling on, implementing this judgment that was given, and Nigerians are happy about it. Today, you see, every governor that is talking in Nigeria today, they begin to tell you that the New Hope agenda has made them to be very buoyant. And you know what the governors do in their respective states? They now go into white paper projects and junket land, and even you see some of them that made Abuja their home. They govern from Abuja. They made Abuja land like their state capital because they have much money to spend around. Some of them are abroad even for unnecessary things. So the president is looking at the political feelers around the governors and the judgment that came from Supreme Court. I must tell you that APC would have put that judgment into consideration and see that if they start implementing it, they are going to have issues by 2027 with the coming of Ahmed Bola Ahmed Tinubu if he's given the ticket by APC. I think that's some of the reasons why they are calculating that they have not been able to put this implementation in place. But going to talk of traditional rulers, forget about it. The traditional rulers will not fare better. If we have seen how the traditional rulers have almost been pushed aside by Nigeria constitution now that even a local government, a commissioner for local government and chief nursing affairs in every state can remove the most powerful traditional ruler in this nation. So let's just not begin to bring in traditional rulers, because traditional rulers, we see the way they go to Abuja, also invited to Aso Rock, to go and cap in hand to meet the president, and when they are coming out of the presidential villa, they now begin to talk like politicians. So they will not do better. But what we Nigerians should stand their ground in implementing the judgment that came from the Supreme Court for the autonomy of local government. I think it's very important. I want to see civil society organizations being on the street, and I want to see the National Assembly, if they sincerely, they actually believe that they are representatives of people and they came from different constituencies of this nation, and constituencies are made up of local government, and every local government, you know what it means, the development, what it means, the grassroots development. They should be able to think of how this kind of judgment should be implemented.
All right, Mr. Elvis Ali Mehela, if this is basically how we should go, I don't know what this portends. There are fears all over as to how the elections in 2027 will become. There are talks that maybe the idea is to create voter apathy when you bring in all of these restrictions. Some Nigerians will be worried if this can happen to some political parties and some strong political persons in the hierarchy, whereby nobody is saying anything and these things are happening. The government of the day is daring anyone who tends to counter anything they do, or the idea is last now talk na go talk, or shout na go shout on social media and nothing will happen. Do you think it's because nothing happens? The government of the day doesn't care so long as the narrative is not suitable to them, or so long as the narrative is suitable to them and unsuitable to those they consider to be their opponent. How do you say our polity will be like possibly in the next 1 year if things continue in this trajectory?
It's going to be worse. Esther, it's going to be worse. They are going to be more stringent because they want to hold on to power, and it's only Nigerians that have to take the bull by the horns. If you look at it, that judgment from the court is not being respected any longer. Even protests on the street, they release their armed forces to to begin to shoot at Nigerians. Nigerians, to tell you that they know what they have a mission, and that mission can only be diffused by the unity of Nigerians, because by 2026, when we are getting closer to the election, we are going to see more of this, and we are going to see more hardness from the government against the people. And by then, you will see, all this one we are still talking about, we still even have time. They might even start clamming down on some media very soon, because they want to, the man that is there, the author that is there, say, snatch it, grab it, and run with it. So they still want to, that policies and principle that worked out for them in 2023, they will still want to reenact it in 2027. So, but the Nigerians must have to know that they have a responsibility and they have a role to play towards the success of this democracy. And the civil society organization should also try as much as possible to do their bidding, not talking at the daytime, then at night going to government offices to go and pick up envelope and pick up Ghana must go, and not doing their job. If this was how it was during the military era, we would have been able to fight the military and get this democracy we have today. But unfortunately, everybody in Nigeria today is being settled by politicians. They know what to do. So that's just the only changes and the issues that I'm afraid of. That some of the people who so relied on, some of the organizations we so relied on, have now become a betrayal organization to Nigeria, and now it's fell out. That's the only fear that we'll be having towards 2026 and 2027, Esther.
Mr. Elvis Ali Mehela, I want to say thank you so much for patiently giving us your insight into some of the questions posed at you concerning the World News at 6. I sincerely do appreciate your input.
Thank you, Esther. Have a blessed day.
Thank you too. And just before we go, let's look at stories outside the shores of Nigeria, where U.S. immigration authorities have raided a massive Hyundai factory in Georgia, leading to the arrest of 475 people. This is according to one of the agencies involved in the operation. The 3,000-acre site, which was built by the Korean automobile manufacturer to make electric vehicles, had been operational for a year. The Department of Homeland Security disclosed to the BBC that agents executed a search warrant due to allegations of unlawful employment practices and other serious federal crimes. Most of those detained were Korean nationals. Authorities disclosed the South Korean Foreign Ministry expressed concerns that the raid may be an unjust infringement of their rights. And that's a wrap of the world news at 6. My name is Esther Machuku. Good evening and thank you for listening. Up next is the Evening Rush. Do kindly stay with us.